Okay. So, like Steve mentioned, my name is Varun Narayan, technical account manager here at LabKey. Good to see you all again. It's still here. My session today is going to be focusing on something that I think Michael and Adam discussed a little bit at the beginning. So that's going to be called engaging with your users, turning feedback into impact. So the title really captures what I want to focus on, which is not just collecting feedback, but using it in a way that makes a real difference for your users. So in my role, I've had the opportunity to work closely with a wide range of LabKey users, from administrators and scientists to data analysts and IT teams. And I've seen firsthand just how consistent engagement can truly be transformative within an organization. So, over the course of this session, I'll share strategies for uncovering what matters most to your users, strategies for asking the right questions, and for turning feedback into meaningful action. So hopefully by the end of the presentation, I'll leave you with some ideas you can put into practice right away. Whether you're an admin supporting a community of users or an end user trying to advocate for your needs. So let's get started. So first things first, let's start with why this is so important, why this matters. Not just for yourselves or even for us here at LabKey, but most importantly for your users. So to start, engagement helps your users feel heard, supported, and confident. And when your users feel this way, they feel empowered to do their best work. It also builds trust and credibility. When users feel like their needs are being looked after, they trust the system, and most importantly, they trust the people managing it. And finally, it also encourages collaboration, better workflows, and fewer barriers. So when users feel empowered and trust in their own abilities, they start helping each other, sharing best practices, and cross-pollinating ideas and workflows. So really, at the end of the day, ultimately, consistent engagement helps users do their jobs better with less frustration and more impact. So that means cleaner data, smoother workflows, and more time spent on meaningful scientific or operational work. So now that we've talked about why consistent engagement is so important, let's talk about where to start. So to engage effectively, you first have to understand who your users are and what they care about. So some key considerations and questions to keep in mind. First and foremost, who needs assistance? So every organization has a mix of different user types. So daily users, occasional contributors, data consumers, admins, and sometimes even external collaborators. So each of these users are important, and each of them experiences the systems in a different way and values different things. Next, you can ask what are their goals? So whether it's day to day or long term, it's important to understand what your users are trying to accomplish if you want to help them succeed. Next, you can ask what are their pain points? So think about what slows them down and what can be improved. And then ask, what does success look like for them? So, how can we help users achieve their goals? And how do your users measure their successes? So, these kinds of open-ended questions give you insight that metrics and tickets alone can't. They show you where pain points truly exist and what users truly value. And when you start asking the right questions, feedback can come in a variety of shapes and sizes. So it helps to think of them in categories. So the first category is functional needs. So these are the typical kind of nuts and bolts type of requests. So things like new features, workflow issues, or bugs. They're usually the easiest to spot and then the most concrete and easiest to understand. Other needs are educational, so they need training or guidance. Sometimes frustrations that might initially sound like feature requests are actually just knowledge gaps. So a user might not know that a certain function exists, or they might not know or understand the best way to use it. Then there are collaborative needs. So these come up when users are trying to share data, insights, or results, but the current setup doesn't really make it easy. So this might mean permissions are too restrictive, or that the reporting tools they're using aren't as intuitive as maybe they could be. And finally, there are emotional needs. So this one is often overlooked, but it's crucial. Users want to feel confident, respected, and supported. At the end of the day, they want to know that their time and efforts are valued. So, understanding these categories is incredibly important because recognizing the type of need helps you take the right actions and deliver the right results for your users. And as I'm sure you're all aware, there are a number of different ways to gather this feedback. So let's talk through a few ways that you can kind of uncover your users' needs. One option that you actually may have heard through some of our user presentations today is through the use of user surveys. So even just a few questions at regular intervals can show you general trends over time. So things like, what are they utilizing the most? What in their minds can be improved? What do they find the most value out of? Questions like these can really help you track trends over time and help you understand A, what your users are doing and what they would like to see in the future. Another option is to hold open forums or office hours. So, genuine conversations with your users can uncover context that you wouldn't have been able to get otherwise. And in these kind of open, safe spaces, often you'll find that users will build on each other's comments, and you can actually start to see patterns emerge naturally. It's also important to note that the reverse is true as well. Setting up one-on-ones or individual check-ins can also be a fantastic method of connecting with your users and understanding their needs. And last, but certainly not least, you can observe workflows in practice. So watching someone click through their process can immediately show you where friction exists, and it may even help you notice issues that users haven't noticed themselves. So at the end of the day, whatever you choose, the key takeaway here is to aim for depth of insight, not just sheer volume of feedback. And as always, reach out to your account managers for assistance. We're more than happy to help brainstorm options and help put ideas into action wherever and whenever we can. Okay, but gathering feedback is really only the first step in this process. The real impact comes when you close the loop. So when you take that feedback, act on it, and show users the results. So I like to think of engagement as a cycle, creatively and very originally named the cycle of engagement. So now that you've engaged with your users and collected their feedback, that's step one. You're ready for step two, which is to categorize and prioritize. So try to identify the themes, group similar issues, and prioritize based on impact. It's important to spend time truly understanding what your users value the most, because when you do, this will allow you to better succeed in step three, which is translating their needs into resources or requests. So whether that's improved documentation, adjusting current processes, or new features, this is where you turn their feedback into actionable next steps. And then there's step four, which is to communicate these resources and requests back to your users. Closing the loop and telling your users, here's what we heard and here's what we did, shows them that they're prioritized and helps to build trust in the long run. Okay. And then this step here, communicate back to users, is also a fantastic jumping off point to restart the cycle. So relaying these outcomes to users is an avenue for you to gather additional feedback and continue your way working throughout the process. So I know that this may seem like a lot. There's a lot here on this slide, but don't worry. LabKey is here to help kind of throughout this process. So no matter where you are, reach out to your account managers, let them know where you are and what you're trying to do. And we're willing to kind of jump in and help wherever you may be in this process. So, for example, if you're in step one, that could be setting up product feedback meetings. So this gives your users an avenue for communicating their needs directly to our product team, and then making sure that their needs, their desires are heard, and then that we can then take those needs and turn them into next steps. If you're in step two, that could be setting up stakeholder meetings so that individuals at all levels of your organization have a way to make sure they are aligned on goals and objectives for the coming months and coming year. When you're in step three, this is probably what you're most familiar with already. So this could be submitting feature requests, holding training sessions, or troubleshooting sessions for bugs or other issues you may be seeing in your workflows. And in step four, this could be utilizing recurring support meetings as a way for providing new feature updates, updates on existing feature requests, and other ways to optimize your current workflows. So really, the moral of the story is no matter where you are in this process, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're here to help and more than willing to support you in any way that we can. And now that we've talked about the full cycle of engagement, let's look at some practical strategies that you can use to turn that feedback into real results. So first, there's training. So we're talking targeted sessions for your users, regular refreshers, and onboarding guides. But keep in mind that it's important to tailor these trainings to what your users are actually struggling with, rather than creating a generalized training or session that doesn't actually touch on the issue at hand. Next, there's documentation. So this could be quick reference guides, FAQs, or how-to videos. For these, keeping it simple and searchable is the key. Sometimes a simple screenshot can actually convey much more information than a big old wall of text. And then there's collaboration. So making sure to keep users involved and engaged and working to optimize their existing workflows. This is especially important as new features are coming in. So being able to identify a new feature, communicate with your users, and find a place where that can slot in and help make that user's process or workflow as efficient as possible. And once again, as always, lean on your account managers. So we are here to be your advocates and your champions, and to make sure that your users' requests get the visibility and support that they need. Now, lastly, it's important to note that engagement isn't just the responsibility of one team or one user. It's a shared effort, and that effort can look a little different depending on your role. So for administrators, think about how you can make your users feel heard and supported. So anticipate and uncover needs and provide resources by acting on those discoveries. Doing so will show your users that their experiences matter and that they are valued. And also make sure to share these updates and successes with your team. Celebrate improvements that come from user suggestions, and make sure that your community knows when updates are coming and what's changed. Now, for users, remember that your feedback has power and that your perspective is valuable. So advocate for new features or improvements to current ones. Think about what will truly help you succeed and also why it will help you succeed. And be clear and specific with your feedback. Screenshots and recordings can convey more information than simple text. And try to tie your feedback to desired outcomes. This is slowing down my review process, is a lot more actionable than this doesn't work. And so to wrap things up, let's summarize a few key ideas that we discussed today. The first is that consistent engagement builds trust and collaboration by empowering your users and making them feel supported. The next is to ask the right questions to uncover your users' needs. So stick with open-ended questions that truly get to the heart of what will help your users succeed. Then, once you've asked the right questions, turn that feedback into actionable next steps. Not only will this help your team operate more efficiently, it'll also help your users feel prioritized and heard. And after those actions, it's important to measure your success and celebrate your wins. Life's too short, and a win, regardless of the win, is still a win, or regardless of the size of the win, is still a win. And finally, LabKey is here to help. So engagement is a continuous cycle, and it may seem a bit overwhelming at first, but you're not alone. Your account managers are ready and willing to step in and help you along the way, no matter where you are in this cycle or journey.